Well, as you know, in 2014 there was a referendum. The referendum wording was crystal clear. It was once-in-a-generation referendum. So 55 to 45, Scotland stayed in the United Kingdom. The argument used by Scottish nationalists is that that decision was once-in-a-generation decision, but there was a material change. And what is a material change? In 2016, when Brexit referendum decision was announced, the next day, Nicola Sturgeon, leader of the Scottish Nationalists, said that the material change had occurred, which means that in 2014, when Scotland was deciding on its future, whether they want to be part of the UK or not, they assumed the UK would stay inside the European Union, and Scotland would, as a part of the United Kingdom, would stay inside the European Union on the whole. So there's a material change. But it's a matter for the interpretation, of course. But the material change cannot just occur by virtue of one single event, and there must be a long, sustained evidence that there was a shift in the Scottish public opinion. So Scottish people changed their opinion about referendum. There have been a couple of polls, some of them are showing that some people think that they've got to leave the United Kingdom, but there is no clear, sustained evidence that there is a ground for a new referendum. There's absolutely no ground. And also, the Scottish Nationalist Party is saying that because in the recent general election, out of 59 seats that Scotland gives to Westminster Parliament in London, 48 were taken by SNP, it's a clear message by the Scottish people to the UK government that they want another referendum. First of all, Nicola Sturgeon herself understands that the fact that they did take 48 seats out of 59 is not an endorsement for the Scottish independence. And also, if you look at what percentage of people voted for the SNP, it's just 4 to 5%. The rest 55 voted for other parties. And not everybody who voted for SNP wants Scottish independence. So using the result of this election as a legal political ground for asking a new referendum does not seem to be a particularly tenable position, at least in my judgment. Third thing, which is very important, everything must be agreed with London. They cannot follow the pattern of Catalonia, and they understand it, because in Catalonia they had a unilateral referendum, and no country on this planet accepted the verdict of that referendum. So they must work together with Westminster. Given that Boris Johnson currently enjoys a huge majority in the House of Commons, and current concern is all about getting Brexit done, then focusing on the vital issues that are pivotal to the future of the United Kingdom. Scottish subject is not paramount importance. It's not of paramount importance to the British government, at least at this stage. Of course, if Nicola Sturgeon carries on pushing on this subject and press Boris Johnson, of course there will be some kind of legal answer. It is, as I said while replying to my previous question, there's no appetite on the side of the British government to hold another referendum, because there must be a transfer of legal powers, as it was the case in 2014, and the UK is not going to do it. If you ask me what will happen if Nicola Sturgeon carries on pressing, the ultimate answer from Boris Johnson will be no and no. And there is no legal political power that Nicola Sturgeon has in order to change the situation, unless the situation gets totally out of control, which is very, very, very unlikely. I don't think Scottish independence question will be resolved in the fullness of time. I don't think it's a matter for the next 5 years. I don't necessarily think that it will be under the Boris Johnson's term. I think it's a matter for generations to be sorted out. And let's not forget that people there are not precisely in favour of Nicola Sturgeon's independence policy. The reason why SNP got 48 out of 59 votes could partly be explained by the nature of the electoral system in Scotland, because as I said, 45% of people voted in favour of SNP. So the fact that they got 48 out of 59 seats does give you the impression that they have almost 80% of the country, but that's not the case. In referendum, you will be deciding what percentage in favour, what percentage is against. So I think that ultimately, as long as SNP is in power, because SNP is a nationalist party, is a Scottish nationalist party, the aim of this party is created with the purpose of getting the independence of Scotland. That's that they all dream about. And as long as they're in power, as long as they're given some legitimacy, they will always push for it. But realistically, I hardly think it's going to happen anytime soon. And I think if British government is going to make a great success of Brexit, Scottish nationalism will die its own natural death.
Thank you very much, Orkhan, for your detailed analysis of this important issues. That was all for the week. Thank you for watching us, and stay tuned not to miss the next edition of our program.